Hello, this is Roland Junk again. EPLAN is really efficient engineering when the plan becomes EPLAN. So let's take a look. I was actually starting to build my panel, but I was told, hey, stop this because major changes are requested. Okay, let's take a look at the changes that were requested by the customer. So I'm going to go here. This is my project that I've been working on. And they have approved a couple of changes I did not plan in. So let's take a look at the first one. Ground bar is missing, no big deal. CRM, wrong part, no big deal. Outdoor panel? It can't be. They want to change the panel from this panel to an hygienic panel? Wow. Okay, let's jump right away. I have no time to lose. I have to go now to EPLAN and do the changes. How do I do this? Inside EPLAN, same thing again, because I don't remember everything they asked me, but hey, let's do it very quickly. Let's open the same project again here. Let's see. Okay, jumper on component. Let's start on this one here. Jumper on component. What is this talking about? This is talking about a wire that doesn't have I guess a length, right? They want 150 millimeters, no big deal. Let's just go to the wire. Let's do this one quickly. This is the wire between the two components. I'm going to open it, and I will assign for this wire here a specific data for its length. So I'm going to type in 150 millimeter. Okay, this is done. I can actually register the first one as being done, no big deal. Everyone will know this. Notice it will have been done. Cool. I assigned length to wire 150 millimeter. Thanks. Next one. Let's go back again and let's take the next redlining that is in the list. The wrong part number. Okay. What is this? We are in the panel layout. We are on CRM1. So let's see where the CRM1 is. Let's change its component. CRM1 here. So we're saying that this component here, properties global, is not the right component. Okay. What is it supposed to be? It's not supposed to be this part. Let's take a look. It's supposed to be a different part. I think that here they actually mention what part number it is, and they most likely do tell me this is the part number. So I'm going to copy this information from here. I'm going to go right away here into the properties global for the general device. I'm going to change the part number here. So basically here I'm changing the part number. So far so good. And most likely, let's go and check out if I go to the parts placement, open it. Open this, go to graphics, and let's see if it still fits if I update the parts placement. One part could not be updated. Okay, well, this simply means it doesn't fit. So what I will have to do is delete it here, and I'll come and position it a little bit later or at a given time. I think there's a bigger issue actually in all these redlinings. The bus bar missing. That's no big deal. The bus bar missing here means we have a part number assigned to the bus bar, but the bus bar is not placed on the panel. So let's go back right away here on the panel, more precisely on the back plate. Let's see where we can place this one. I would say I typically choose an area down in the bottom corner. This is where I usually would place it. Maybe what we can do is temporarily just take these ones out of the way. Retreat or reduce the size of this one maybe to half the size. Place the component that is the ground bar right here. Let's see if we can place it here. Maybe we can place it at 10 millimeters more precisely from this center component. So that's cool. This leaves me a little bit of room for the TB, for the terminal strip, to actually place the first one maybe up there. I saw it was not as big, so it actually fits well. And I'll place just the second one down below here, starting on the left corner. That would be perfect. Now, what is left over? This is a TB10, basically, this device. This one is interesting because if you really want to place it, there's a spot here where you can place it on. That's a nice, cool feature that they have. So you can actually put same thing for these ones if they do have them. No, they don't. That's all nice. So the ground bar is and should be placed. So I'm not too sure why it wasn't placed, what the quantity was. CRM, this one is not placed. This is the one I deleted, remember? So I'm just going to drag and drop it and place it right there. Cool. With an accessory placement. It's nice. It's cool. So we got cables are done. This ground bar no longer requires. Let me just check out the ground bar. What and how many plate parts we have. So here, this is one. They all don't have any parts, so we should actually all nice. It's all nice. It's all good. So now, last but not least, is of course to check out if and this is the biggest change, and this is the one that I was a little bit scared of. So this one here, missing bus bar, done. So I placed it. Let's see, the biggest issue or the biggest modification, this one here also done and placed. So it's basically change part, changed and repositioned. The biggest one is this one here. This is a crazy one. I mean, imagine on a panel, last minute, somebody comes along and says, please change your panel to this panel here. Imagine all the work, all the mechanical work, all the placement of the devices. Crazy. So where do we do this in EPLAN? It's actually an easy one. We open this one and we say we exchange the part. We exchange the enclosure. So technically, when we exchange the enclosure, so when we pick one enclosure and exchange it for the other, what's interesting is that all enclosures have housing, doors, mounting panels, etc. If you're replacing it by something that's very similar, all components will actually be repositioned. So if I open this, it's a different panel. We went from this to this. Of course, I mean, if I go here, you will see it. It just changed it, right? Boom. And it repositioned all the components. Now, the only thing maybe we have to realign a little bit the few routing path. You know, if I go here to my door inside, you will see that inside the door we have a couple of mounting paths. So those ones, if I wanted to, I can select them and I could move them here. Select them all. Oops, like this. Can I move? Like just right mouse click or just hit the V button? No, it wouldn't move, right? If I do select, there is no select. So it's not that obvious. How will I actually do this? Well, on number one, this here, I think I would move the object. Now, of course, you have to be on the outside of the door if you want to move these inside here. This is the number one thing. For these push buttons, of course, these are only the push buttons that have to be moved. The other ones are already in the path where you want it. So we're good with that, right? So now I can actually do the wiring, except for one thing. I have to make sure that from the inside of the door, I go to the back plate, which was moved. So I'm going to go here, select those. So I'm going to show you here pretty much the two items, the back plate and the front door. So here the intention is to rotate this in such a way that I can hook up or find a routing path for my wires to go from the door. So most likely from the door, they will start somewhere, along that way here or from that way. You have to decide where you want to move over, to the other section here. So here, let's zoom out. Let's maybe just go like this. And I'm connecting these together. Now, this is now the routing path, preferred routing path between the door and the front end. And we will see this if I run the wiring. I can see here I will have thicker wires going through that path. Here, just going to the back door. So that should work to a certain point. I have my wires. That means I have now the panel entirely ready for fabrication. So again, I can go here to my EPLAN. I can take this and I can already send it by email like this and simply send it to my retail guys. What the retail guys will do is they will pretty much use the information that is here to create nothing else than the drilling information and forward this onto the retail Perforex, which means they will pre-drill all my holes. Inside EPLAN, I already have, if I look at this, I already have my drilling views. If you wish to actually do it in-house, you can do it. They are now up to date just by running this simple menu here. All the drilling views will be updated automatically. So you can see here for the side, for this one here, then for the front door where my push buttons are, different holes to punch, and of course, same thing here for the ducts and the rails. Now, for the ducts and the rails, I have something else. I have this one here, which by default is just a report. So I can just run it and say update it, boom, and it will update exactly this portion. Here's a list. I can now spend a little bit of time looking into every single duct, rail, and have it cut. So when the panel comes out of the mod center from Rittal pre-drilled, this will fit. So these will fit right away onto the holes that Rittal will have done for me. Last but not least, I will have to assemble my components onto the panel itself. So of course, the panel was changed, modified, and here, when it gets assembled, the people will actually look at this drawing here, which is again just a report, and they will assemble all the components on the individual backplate, DIN rails, front door, as described here in this model view. We have different views for different things, for different steps along the way, right? It's very, very precise documentation. You can't really go wrong. And now comes the time hereafter to actually think about the wires, the wiring. So on one side, I have the electrician that can do the wiring all by himself. Now he's a big boy, he can do it, he can cut, he can pre-drill, he can crimp. Although what I also have is I can have a Rittal wire station which will cut the wires, crimp the wires, and label the wires. So we were talking about labels. Labels is basically just a manual way where you can pre-print all the wire labels, all the device labels, everything in one single stroke. Let the tool work. I'll show you how that works. And I will now prepare the documentation to be shared with the electrician on his tablet. Okay. Now on the tablet, here's what he's going to go for. He's going to go for the EPLAN Smart Wiring. So this is not the eView, it's the Smart Wiring. So what we give the electrician is a simple tablet with very precise details on the wires, the wire length, the routing, everything he needs. Okay. So what I'm doing here is showing you what the tablet looks like. So let's put EPLAN aside for the moment. Let's put eView aside and let's take a look at what the tablet shows. So first of all, when we look at a project, we can basically say, let's update that project because the project we were working on was that project. Now, interestingly is what this does is very, very exceptional. If one would have started the project and he would have actually started placing wires, you can see that EPLAN has now here some components that are to be removed. Why? Because they are in a different spot now. Okay, so you can actually filter for specific wires that are to be removed. Okay, so if you take these remove wires, these were removed, then you have to be uninstalled. This is basically the wire that you have placed earlier that is wrong now because we have moved our objects in a different direction, different length, different, um, uh, let's say, configurations, okay? And when you're done with this, okay, you can reset the filter and you can say, okay, let's go with all the ones I have not yet installed. Cool. You can sort by source, target, or you can just jump in and see, okay, where is my source? Where is my target? How does it go when I look at source and target? How do I go from the target to the source? You know, what is the routing exactly? And it tells me exactly what to wire. So what I'm doing now, let's just not install, partially installed, sorry, reset the filters here. You can now go and install them one by one. Always the same thing. If you actually happen to know where the component is, don't even worry. It's just go ahead and wire it up. Cool. And you slowly do your move between each of these components. When you're looking at a component, a new component, you can search for that component, where the component is, where the next component is, and how the wiring is done between the two of them. It actually shows you. So you can slowly move your way into this and it will tell you a proportion of items that have been done. Another thing that the electrician sometimes looks at is, okay, he looks at the wire, he doesn't understand what this CBS one is all about. He looks in the schematics, he can actually view the schematic where that device is, he can zoom in and then now he understands what he's talking about. So he can go back and he can just proceed with the installation. If whatever he sees, CBP, he's not happy with because he actually thinks there is something wrong with it, well, he can actually lock down the wire here by locking the wire, and he can even attach a comment or a screenshot to the electrician, okay? Or he can just email him, whatever the medium is. This is really a nice feature, and we can monitor in real time how many wires has been able to wire up. So think about it. The wire fabrication tool that we offer here with the wire station will eliminate primarily the hand cutting of the wires and crimping, the hand crimping. So something that would take close to 3 minutes to do, right? Cut the wires, unisolate the wires or take off the isolation at both ends, put the crimp on, crimp the whole wire, and finally put the right label on there. All that, and the labels are here, you can see they just have to peel them off because I created all these labels automatically. Well, that can be reduced from an average of 180 seconds down to something like 30, 40 seconds if you start thinking about semi-automatic or automatic wire cutting, crimping, printing machines. Behind this, there's a 1 minute roughly that we calculate to land the wires. The conventional way would go with a yellow pen in a schematic and one after the other mark up the wires that have been installed. The EPLAN smart wiring way is to actually help the electrician figure out where the component is and simply start connecting them one after the other. This tool here is absolutely awesome. Right now, I believe we only have one panel. If you would have multiple panels, you can actually handle multiple panels with multiple people if you wish to, because this project, if it would contain multiple panels, all of the panels would be in here and you could separately actually work them one by one. Really nice, really nice. So imagine all the changes I just showed you here in 20 minutes. I don't think there is much to say about this other than, you know what? When you put together Rittel and EPLAN, well, you're talking about efficient engineering. You're looking for reasons why you should go with, the 2D drawing instead of the 3D, or versus the 3D versus the 2D drawing. Take a look at this. This was Roland Jung from EPLAN Canada trying to show you how in 20 minutes I do a change that would have probably taken a few minutes more in conventional tools. So modifications are even faster with EPLAN.